Hello, everyone. Wonderful to be with you. I'm just absolutely thrilled for this time together because it's really so relaxing and such a healthy time. And we're really happy to have Caroline Gamble back with us. She's the leader of the Breath Project, and she's an experienced yoga teacher and yoga practitioner, and all things yoga, and really in terms of the deep yoga as well, not the acrobatic yoga. But we're going to look at yoga, but from a very, very accessible place today. So accessible that it just really goes to the heart of our daily lives. So there's a tendency to be a little bit intimidated by some of the stretching yoga and some of the contortionist yoga and all the positions. But here today, we're simply going to be looking at standing up, and laying down. And these are two of the most important postures in yoga. We can all do it. We all do it all the time. Hopefully, we can all stand up. And even if you can't stand up and you're in a chair, perhaps you can sit up as well. And I'm sure Caroline will address that with us. Let's just take a moment, though, to come into like a little centering process that can only take a minute. And it's something every one of us can do during the day. And that is to simply bring our attention to the rising and the falling of the breath. That's all we do. We don't take a breath. We just bring our attention to the breath or the breathing that's going on every moment of our lives. And now we just transfer that over and just say, we're not taking a breath. We're receiving a breath. And so as we're aware of the rising and falling of our breath, we're also aware that we're receiving and we're letting go. And then finally, we can just do nothing at all. Just be still and wait. And perhaps you find that impulse happens naturally without you doing anything at all. And if you're in touch with that impulse, you're in touch with the very essence of life itself, of spirit. So that just took a minute or so, and that's something you can do at any time, even if you just bring your attention to the rising and falling of your breath. I always like to start any meditation practice with it because it centers the room immediately. It brings all our scattered energies back into this beautiful focus. And the other thing I like to do is to call ourselves forward into an energy field, a field of light and love and sound. And the light is calling ourselves and attuning to the highest and purest light from the highest and purest source, and asking that surround and fill each one of us and the space that we're in for the highest good. And we can just move into the loving of our consciousness and just allow ourselves to be in that loving as we go through this time with Caroline. Caroline, welcome, and so good to have you with us.
So good to be with you, Paul, and everyone else who I cannot see. I can just see Paul and San Francisco behind him. But I will feel you all, I know, as the hour transpires, and I just wish I could see your faces. But I hope your faces are... I just wanted to start with something that I have been doing a lot with my clients over the past few months. Imagining you have a box, and it has a label on it, and it's called Serenity. And you open that box, and in it there is a mask, beautiful mask. And that mask is perfectly made to shape to your face. And you put that mask of serenity on your face, and everything just smooths out into this serene glow. And I feel, although I can't see your faces, I hope that they are relaxed today, can feel more serene. We are here sharing something, hopefully, that will be good for all of us. And how lucky we are to have technology on our side in these moments.
Well, I agree, Caroline. I love the Zoom format where we can see everybody's faces. But today we're kind of streaming, I believe, on Facebook. And so it's we're seeing a different aspect of it. But the people on the stream are being able to chat and be with each other. So
I'm glad.
It's just we'll just have to assume a lot of people with those beautiful faces, those beautiful serene faces, and what a beautiful way to start. Certainly, you are embodying that right now. I mean, your face is completely really showing that serenity you've been talking about. So I'm really thrilled about that. And wonderful to have you with us. Yes. I wanted to dive into where we left off last time. And by the way, I don't know if Stella can post the link to the previous talk that we had. I mean, I think everybody on this should really go. That was a 2-hour session where Caroline gave us these array of wonderful breathing techniques that we could all utilize. So practical and so accessible. So we'll see if we can get you a link for that. And Stella can also give her email address if you have any questions about any of this that we're doing. But I wanted to dive in because you have had quite a yoga journey. Last time we talked about you being an advertising executive and experiencing burnout and then really pursuing what you wanted. But you took a long way around in a sense because you decided to make the trek to India. And this kind of got my attention because I've traveled all over the world. I've never been to India, but to me, India would sound like adventure travel. And for a young woman like yourself to take yourself to India, can you just briefly, in the next 5 minutes or so, what that was like for you and who you met with and what teachers had an influence? I know that's probably a 5-hour talk, but I just want a taste of it because I've been wanting to ask you this in all our conversations, but I've waited for this moment. I mean, who did you meet and how and what influence did they have on you?
So it's interesting. Now I look back on it and I think maybe that was quite a bold move to go to India on my own. It now seems almost a cliche, something people do. It wasn't so much. We're going back 20 years now. I have always been drawn to challenge myself to actually get into discomfort, situations that show all the darkness within me. And I guess India embodied that on a subconscious level for me. So I packed a bag with 2 t-shirts and 2 pairs of trousers and a few pairs of underwear. And off I went to Mumbai, so Bombay. And Bombay is a long city, stretches for about 80 miles. And I had found an organization that worked in a slum in Bombay who were going to give me a room in a slum, and I was going to teach children English. And so I was there for 6 months, living in a slum room with threadbare 2 t-shirts and 2 trousers. And on that journey, it was incredibly challenging and confronting and unsettling on so many levels. But it really showed so much of my darkness, the dark edges, my shadow. And so I found an ashram in Mumbai, and I had been exposed to yoga in London and the US in beautiful studios or town halls as well. I went to the local church hall, and I had done forms of yoga in those more modern settings. And in this ashram in India, the focus was very much on these extreme yogic practices, using a neti pot. This might not feel extreme to you, but to me as an 18-year-old, you would pour a neti pot into one nostril and clean out the other nostril. You would swallow a rag all the way down and then pull it back up to clean your system of bile. And I learned how the classic yoga looks at yoga poses. Is you come into a pose such as Trikonasana. If anyone's done yoga, you probably have done Trikonasana, triangle pose, and you are in triangle pose for minutes on end. You are exploring the way your body initially comes into the pose, and then how your body adjusts without any influence from you in the pose. And it was fascinating to me to see how classical yoga in India was different, the ways it was different to the modern yoga I had been exposed to. So I loved it. I also loved the modern yoga. And I then spent the next few years, Paul, coming back to London, which is where I was living, and then going back to India, coming to London, back to India. And I started to amalgamize the modern yoga that I was having with great teachers, learning fantastic ways of releasing energetic tensions in my body and in my mind and in my energy body, and also learning these gems, these jewels of classical yoga that weren't being talked about in a modern way. At the same time, I was working in advertising, as you said, and I started to create a different dream. I want to leave advertising and bring that ancient wisdom into a modern audience. And that is how I started teaching. So my first exposure to India was Mumbai for 6 months, working in a slum school. I didn't see another white person for most of the 6 months, which was so fantastic in so many ways, also scary and lonely in other ways. But the richness I got, it despite it being scary and challenging, very challenging, the richness kept me there because I could have left at any point. And so then through that experience, I heard about these little whispers of these masters and these places I need to travel to in India. So that was my return trip. So I went up to Rishikesh, which is a spiritual community on the Ganges River in the base of the Himalayas. And I was in another ashram there. I had a 30-day silent meditation retreat. It wasn't a retreat. There were spiders this size in my dormitory room. And you had one meal a day. It was very monastic, and 30 days of silence, not even writing, not even reading. There was no words, no ability to communicate with anything other than what was inside me. And so that was very interesting. And that ashram was founded by a man called Swami Rama, who also founded the Himalayan Institute, which is now in Pennsylvania. Some of you might know it. And Swami Rama is dead now, and he was not alive when I was at the ashram. But I started following him and following some of his primary disciples, who then became my teachers. And they would lead me to other teachers higher up in the Himalayas, in more remote communities. And I would go and I would be with them, oftentimes in silence, watching them breathe, watching them practice, and then taking that back home And on the plane back to London, really just trying to find ways to communicate that goodness, that those extreme experiences, make them accessible to the people back home. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 20 years. And it has very much morphed into my focus of using breath, because what I found the Swamis and the Sidhus and all the spiritual people who are really into it, the thing that they're really doing is breathing and being so intimate with their breath as the principal tool to alleviate them from all the quagmire of humanity. They are following the breath. And I found that so fascinating. And I am certainly not a monk in mindset, a saint in any way. I look serene, as you said so sweetly, Paul, but I juggle, I have rage and fury and all the normal human feelings, but I do use my breath to stay more peaceful more of the time.
Well, that's just tremendous. And just, was there any particular teacher that stood out that, we have these moments in life where somebody can give us a look, perhaps, or they say 2 or 3 words. My spiritual teacher, John Roger, was like that. He could just say a sentence to somebody, and like decades later, they would still be quoting that sentence. It would kind of turn their life around. Or sometimes a look, a loving look or a gesture. Was there any moment that kind of, I call it resonates, resonates through time that sits with you right now as we're together?
I consider you so privileged to have spent time with John Roger in person, him being your principal teacher. And I'm sure many people who are on this, who have been inspired by him and haven't had that opportunity, maybe feel the same. For me, Paul, it was really, everything was pointing towards this relationship I built with Swami Rama, who is not in his physical body anymore. Yet through his books, through his teachings, and through his primary disciples, I really felt like I was in communion, being taught by him. It's hard to explain. The teachers that I had and I followed were incredible in many ways, but it was actually his words that I heard through them, that I could see him come out of them at different points. And those were the moments that I looked away, that shifted me. There were also times when I went up into a community near Shimla in the Himalayas, and it was no one spoke English, and there was a Swami called Ganeshan, and he would sit there and he seemed to vibrate. He was silent with his eyes closed most of the time. He was exploring some other realm, and he seemed to vibrate. And I've always believed that was possible. I'm not sure whether I believe levitating is possible, but I could see he was somewhere beyond. And I had moments of that. And I think we all have moments of that, which is why we're drawn to things like this, being here with you and exploring spiritual messages and paths, because we see a sunset and we've transcended. We don't even know what we've transcended, but we've gone somewhere. Or we smell a flower and, the smell of spring, and everything stops for a moment. And it's what I learned in yoga and my studies. It's ananda, it's bliss. It's that bliss from when the human chatter, the chitta vritti, as they say in Sanskrit, that's the chattering monkey of your mind. He's silent and he's still. And actually, he's in the background, the far, far background. And you're in a different realm. And wow, it's a moment, is it not? But I saw Ganeshan, and he dwelled in it. He resided in it. And I could see that mask of serenity was just through every cell in his body. Now, I believe that we are human and we all are living a human journey. Who knows? I didn't see him when he was really hungry and there was someone in between him and his bowl of dal. Maybe fury would come out of him. But I believe that he was so dedicated to it that he had more of it than most of us. And that to me was very attractive.
Wow, marvelous. Well, thank you for conveying that to us. And perhaps we can enter into some of that today. I wanted us to talk about Tadasana, which is mountain pose, which is standing, and Shavasana, which is corpse pose, which is lying down. But I wanted to really start off with Tadasana, standing, because it has so many elements. And today's posture is just really awful in a lot of people simply because they're sitting so much. And we have this modern kind of affliction called forward head posture or text neck, where all of us have got our head over here. We're putting enormous strain on our backs. They say, and this is scientific, that 1 inch off the center is 10 pounds. So by the time we have our head forward like this, we're actually carrying our head is 50 pounds. And of course, we don't feel that, but our body feels that and has to make the adjustments. And also just the strain that it places on our necks. And you gave us this wonderful technique last time we were together with just lifting this sternum here, I think, and just lifting this so that it kind of, in a sense, supported the head immediately. It was very, very simple. Can you just tell us that one more time?
I'm going to tell you that. I was just thinking, let me give him the 2 points, because one is the. Let me just connect that to my experience in India. So when you go and you spend time with these people focused on their breath, they're sitting for hours on end. And how they are able to do that, because we know when we try, that stiff back, that crick in my neck. They use yoga asana, postures like Tadasana, to restructure their body from the deepest part of their physical mass, so their skeletal system. Their reason for practicing every yoga pose is to facilitate a strong back, strong musculoskeletal system, so that they can sit without being in any physical discomfort for hours on end. And yes, Paul, Tadasana is so essential. Tadasana, mountain pose, standing, how we stand, and I'm going to give you a guided practice in that. But I wanted to, I was chomping at the bit. I'm going to turn to the side in just a moment, but the most important postural cue I could give you, and I give everyone, is taking one finger to the center of your sternum and tap that point so that you really feel connected with it. I want you to become very connected with this one point in the center of your body, and then one point in the back of your body at the back of your skull. So about here. And if you tap that as well, and then keep your fingers still on those 2 points and lift up through those 2 points with equal force, or not force, equal energy lifting up. So one is not lifting more than the other. They're both lifting up with equal effort, equal force. You're lifting up through those 2 points, and feel how instantly starts to feel like you elongate. And lifting up through those 2 points, you're not lifting up through the chin, because that is a very common, everybody is lifting up through the chin projecting all the time. No, the chin stays in, stays parallel to the floor. We lift up through the back of the head and the sternum. So drawing up, and then at the same time, let your shoulders hang down. let your arms be heavy, and let your belly be soft. Belly soft, so you're not pulling the belly in, you're not trying to squeeze into tight jeans. Instead, you're letting your belly be soft as you lift up through your sternum and the back of the skull. How does that feel for you?
Oh, marvelous. I actually felt my my thoracic spine crack a little bit there, pop a little bit, which is really excellent. And it's wonderful. I love the fact that we have like a forward vector going up, and also at the back of our body as well. So and also, yes, this idea of we've got chin pokers, and we've also got chin tuckers, because actually tucking our chins, which is advised a lot, is actually pops out the cervical spine. I think it's C2 and hardens it. So like you said, it's that kind of parallel softness in our chin. So we're not a tucker and we're not a poker, but we're just in that kind of midpoint. And I think you've been helping us with that. Yeah.
Yeah, the lowest ledge, the under ledge of your chin being parallel to the floor. But really keep it so simple, everybody. Those 2 points, just focusing on equal energy lifting up through them whilst your shoulders drop down and your belly is soft, and you will come into your best postural alignment. Your spine muscles, your erectospinae muscles will engage, become stronger, your back will become stronger, and you'll be able to maintain a healthier posture. As Paul said, what the tendency is to come into this hunching back. If you see it, a hunching back and a projecting chin forward. And what we need to do is alleviate that hunchback by lifting up through the sternum, and alleviate that chin pointing forward by lifting up through the back of the skull. Then everything comes into harmony. And we need to treat our spine as the first thing to get into harmonious structural alignment. And from that spine, everything else follows the leader. The rest of your body follows the lead of the spine. Those 2 postural cues will get your spine long and strong.
Marvelous. Thank you. Thank you. I really did need the reminder. I mean, quite frankly, I need the reminder constantly, because it's so easy. And even if we start the day, we're just really like this. As the day goes on and as we become tireder and everything, we tend to kind of just, oh my goodness, we tend to kind of collapse like this. And I think those are, in a sense, the danger points. And at that point, we put our head up like this, and then we're constricting the back of the neck. And so many nerves and vessels go through our head, and we just start constricting that messaging system. And, look at all of the senses, the eyes, the ears, the eyes, the nose, the ears, the mouth, the tongue, the taste. I mean, it's all up here, and this is fed from down there. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that,
Well, I had something I wanted to share with you about you saying as the day moves along, we start to become compressed. When we sleep at night, we are lying horizontally, and the spinal column, we have 24 movable spine vertebrae with gel discs between them. That horizontal alignment and the rest that we come into allows the little gel discs between our vertebrae to plump up a little bit. Plump up. And between each of those vertebrae, there's a plumping up. And as a consequence, we grow. We become longer as we sleep. Between 1 centimeter and 1 inch, so that's 1 centimeter and 2 centimeters, or for Americans, half an inch and 1 inch, we can grow at night. And then we wake up and we stand up, and gravity starts to shrink us down. And so this, various times throughout the day, become familiar with it and use it to grow your spine long. It actually happens, you can recreate that sense of plumping through the discs between your vertebrae just by mindfully allowing yourself to elongate.
Marvelous. I'm doing it and I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
So am I, and I am enjoying it too. So should we do Tadasana?
Please. Yes. I can't wait.
So we're going to stand for Tadasana. Tadasana means mountain pose. So come and stand up. It's good for your body. And I'm going to make sure you can all see me. Let me tilt this a little bit.
So I'm not in a good position for Tadasana, so you'll have to imagine that.
I'm imagining your whole body. That's fine. Okay. Everyone can see me in full height, so that's all that is required, Paul. Don't worry about you. Take your feet wide, first of all, toes pointed out, and spin your body from side to side. And this is really crucial to do. We are usually so tense and compressed through our tissues that any movement that allows us to become loose and floppy allows us to unwind those physical and energetic tensions and, in turn, mental and emotional tensions. So the mind, body, breath is one interconnected system. And so when we open one and free one, the rest follows suit. So spin your body from side to side, and I want you to imagine that your arms are made of seaweed. And so seaweed underneath the water is absolutely free of anything rigid and tight. So feel that through your arms, feel that up through your shoulders. Now let your head and your neck start to turn from side to side. You can bend your legs a little bit. You might feel a nice twisting through your belly, which is very good for your digestive system. And your trunk is turning around, twisting around your spinal column. So already we're starting to free up any tension that runs around and through the spine. Good, and I encourage everybody to do that as much as they can throughout the day. And then slow that down and bring your feet together. Now, mountain pose, the classic pose, is your toes are touching and your heels are about an inch apart. Now, if that feels uncomfortable for any of you, then separate your feet hip width apart, inside edges of your feet parallel. And then roll your weight back a little bit towards your heels so that you can feel like your toes can lift off the floor. Notice as your toes lift off the floor, your quadriceps and your knees start to engage as well. So really try to lift the toes off the floor and try to spread your toes out. Doesn't matter how much they can spread. It's the sense of you being able to liberate your toes a little bit. And then let your toes lay back down on the floor so you feel more spread through your feet. In mountain pose, our feet are the base of our mountain. So the base of the mountain is large and expansive, and it is merging down with the earth beneath it. So yield downwards. That means feel like your feet can sink downwards. Now roll slightly towards the right so that you feel the right edge of your right foot. And then roll slightly towards the left to feel the left edge of the left foot. Roll back to center and go forward towards your toes so that your toes grip the floor. Feel the tip of the toes gripping the floor. And then roll back towards your heels and feel like the back edges of your heels make little crescent impression in your floor. Good. And then come to center And move your body just a little circle to one way and then a circle the other way. So you feel the edges of the feet. And then balance yourself so it feels like each of the four corners of your feet have equal weight. And then pressing down through the feet. As you press down through your feet, I want you to feel a corresponding lifting up through the bones of your legs. So press down through your feet. Imagine your feet grow roots down into the earth. And those roots are moving down, anchoring you down and spreading wide. And you feel that through the soles of your feet. So there's this downward moving energy through the soles of your feet. And also feel like there's a downward moving energy through your arms now. Imagine someone is lightly pressing your shoulders down. And imagine there are roots at your fingertips and they are reaching down to the floor. So your arms and your shoulders, the soles of your feet are growing downwards. Now at the same time, back to the legs. Feel like the bones in your legs are reaching upwards. The bones in your legs are reaching upwards. Feel like the perineum, the space between your anus and your genitals, that is lifting upwards in towards your pelvis, in towards the trunk of your body. And feel that upward lifting current moves up behind the navel, up through your lungs, up into your throat, up through the back of your skull to that point that we were touching before. Lifting up through the back of your skull. Imagine that lifting energy moves up to the crown of your head, and there's a golden thread attached to the crown of your head, and it gently draws you upwards. Now reconnect with the shoulders. There are heavy, warm hands on your shoulders, gently pressing your shoulders down. Gently drawing your arms down. The roots at the ends of your fingertips and your thumb tips are drawing your arms and your shoulders even further down. The roots on the soles of the feet are drawing your feet down. And now you find a perfect balance between that downward moving energy through your shoulders, your arms, your fingertips, through the soles of your feet, and that upward moving energy through the bones of your legs, through the perineum, through the center of your trunk, through the crown of your head. You then become the mountain by finding the perfect balance of being part of the earth, moving downwards, and part of the sky, moving upwards, just as a mountain is. Majestic, strong, awe-inspiring, something people look at and feel those moments of transcendence in their majesty, their mighty magnificence, their gracefulness. And now with those two opposite but equal moving forces in your body, let grace come in, let softness and ease come in. Anything that you are holding, any effort that has come in, let that go. Let there be a softening. And just allow yourself to be that easy mountain. And you can close your eyes if you wish. Just notice where your weight shifts when you withdraw your sense of sight. Just notice how your balance changes. Just notice where there is tension, where you are trying too hard to hold the pose. Soften that, relax that. Might be in the buttocks, might be in the neck, the jaw, might be in the chest, might be somewhere else. Just soften where you can and continue exploring this yin and yang of yielding down, being part of the earth, and rising up, being part of the sky. We'll just be here for 30 seconds, just being with your breath in silence. And then opening your eyes and just stepping from one foot to the other. Imagine yourself moving into your day with the information you have gathered from becoming that mountain, practicing Tadasana. How will you hold yourself? Go for a little walk around your room. Can you be a moving mountain? Can you allow that information to give you a posture that feels that strong, yet that easy? And that's how we want to move throughout our day. And every standing pose in yoga follows the same principles as Tadasana. And we're going to now come down and come into Shavasana. Paul, if there's anything you want to say as an introduction, you certainly can.
Well, no, that was terrific. I had a couple of questions on Tadasana before we go. The first one was: are the knees nice, are soft, or are they locked, or are they bent?
So it is a evolution. So as you are yielding and embodying your feet and the roots of your feet, you will notice that your knees engage and your upper leg muscles engage and your buttocks and your spine is going to engage. And that's fine. What we want for strong muscles is this balance between engaging them and releasing them. If they are always engaged or always released, we have muscle atrophy. So a muscle that doesn't work optimally. So when you come into your Tadasana, you want to feel that sense of engagement, that mountain forming, that strength of rock within you. And then when you feel that strength, you want to move through a process of unwinding that, softening that, so it becomes easy. So then the knees will feel like they come into a slight bend, maybe a slight bounce in them. If they have felt locked, they feel unlocked. So you eventually in Tadasana don't even notice the knees.
And the last question was the tailbone. I noticed you talked about the perineum, that place between the anus and the genitals, lifting. And were you saying that kind of really pretty much handled the pelvic alignment, or should people focus on the sacrum or anything like that?
So the balance between the rising up through the perineum and the dropping down through the shoulders and the arms and the peripheral body will get you into good alignment posturally. There's always a debate, and everybody in many yoga classes, teachers instruct you to tuck the tailbone so you don't have a lordosis and overarch in the lower back. Other people try to give cues so that you get into your particular pelvic alignment. It's all unique to everybody's body. So actually, rather than trying to manipulate the alignment of the pelvis, I prefer to just focus on the sensation of the center of the pelvis, that perineum, that lifting up while the rest of the body yields down, and your pelvis tends to come into its optimal alignment through those cues. But that said, you can always, if you do have a tendency to pop the buttocks back and have this lordosis, a slight growing down of the tailbone, a slight drawing up of the pubic bone will help to align that. But we don't want to over alleviate the natural curve in the lower back.
Marvelous. Thank you so much. I think that kind of rounds out that. So let's go into Shavasana. I know that each one of this could be like a 2-hour class in itself, but perhaps you can just briefly take us through Shavasana so people have this idea. And of course, I'm going to lay down on the floor, so you're not going to see me, but I'll be right back up.
Lie down. Enjoy. And everybody lie down. You do not need to see me. You just need to hear me. And it's okay if you fall asleep. Some people might need a few minutes of rest. Just allow yourself to go where it needs to go. That said, Shavasana means corpse pose, and it is recognized as being one of the most challenging yoga pose to master, because you don't die in corpse pose, but you emulate the corpse by letting go of all the layers in the body. And as a consequence, mastery of corpse pose, the actual practice of corpse pose, you stay lucid, you stay awake, you don't fall asleep. That said, if you naturally fall asleep, enjoy. So lying down on your back, separate your feet wider than your hips. Could be a few inches wider, a little bit more. It's roughly the same width as an average yoga mat, but it really doesn't matter. It matters that it feels like your legs are comfortably wide. Then let your feet drop out. As your feet drop out wide away from each other, that starts to release the muscles of your legs. Take your hands underneath your buttocks and gently pull your buttock flesh wide, allowing the buttocks to spread. And then wiggle your shoulder blades towards each other on the back. So it's almost like your shoulder blades squeeze the skin between them. This allows you to open through your chest. Now take your arms by your sides, palms open to the sky. Remember what we said about chin projecting. That is the normal posture for most of us. That is the common posture for most of us, but it is not normal and it is not optimal. Pointing the chin up, and everybody do it for a moment. Point your chin up to the sky. Feel how that shortens the back of your neck. Now tuck the chin slightly in as if you are giving yourself a subtle double chin, and feel how that lengthens the back of the neck. Wiggle your neck just very subtly from side to side so that your head grows up a little bit higher and you feel long through your body. So you are lying flat. The back of your head, the back of your shoulders, the back of your arms, your buttocks, the back of your legs down to your heels is resting on the floor. Palms open, feet turned out. So we move through the stages of becoming a corpse. We have stilled the body. The body is still. It is resting in this shape. Try not to move it. Imagine you have let go of the life force that allows you to twitch and move. So your body yields to the earth. Just as we did in our mountain pose, allow a sense of physical detachment, a physical yielding, letting go. Imagine the body that you have inhabited is free to sink into the earth, sink down and let go. Feel like the flesh can soften away from the bones. The bones can drop down. This can be a beautiful thing to experience. It doesn't have to be morbid or scary. It can be a liberating thing. Experience that feels, for a moment or two, deeply freeing. It's your choice whether you allow your body to feel those things, dropping away, sinking down. So we release the physical body as our first step to becoming the corpse. Feel like the top of your body, your face, your chest, the top of the arms, the front of the ribs, your belly, the front of your pubic bone, the top of your thighs, your shins, the top of your feet. Feel like the whole of the top surface of your body can sink down into the middle of your body. Feel like the middle of your body, the brain, the backs of the eyes, the inner nasal cavity, the tongue, down through the center of your throat, down through the center of the lungs and the organs, down through the bones of the legs and the bones of your arms. That center of the body, that middle level of your body becomes heavy as the top sinks into it. It becomes heavy and it sinks down into the base of your body, the lower level of your body, the part of your body that rests on the floor, the back of your head, the shoulder blades, the backs of the arms, the flesh there, the back of your rib cage, the back of your waist, the flesh there, the back of the pelvis, the buttock flesh, the back of the legs, the heels of the feet. The top of the body sinks into the mid body, that sinks into the lower body, and the lower body sinks into the floor, sinks down into the earth, heavy, releasing, spreading wide. And now as we continue moving into the corpse, our breath disappears, becomes so fine. It's almost as if you stop breathing. So fine, you barely feel any sensation of respiration. As you focus on this heaviness through your body, your breath disappears. And as your breath disappears, those patterns that are unique to you, the way your muscles have connected with your bones, those areas that are tense or compressed, those imbalances in your alignment, that tight hip on your right side, that tight shoulder on your left, that elbow pain, injury, they unravel. They unravel and let go. They are only there because your mind and body have connected them, have continued them. And now they unravel, they let go, because you are moving through the process of Shavasana. They unravel and you spread out. You feel the sensation of the spinal column that runs through your body. And your body opening wide on either side, as if your body is a book, an old book, laid down on a table, opened wide, and the heavy pages, the pages that have had so much life and been read so many times, have had so much experience, they just yawn open. Your body widens from the spine out like an old book of wisdom. And as we move further into our corpse pose, our body is released. Our breath is released. The tight holding patterns of our mind and our body coming in together to form our habits, they have released. We move through the next stage of releasing our identity. That construction of who we have created in this lifetime. The name you have been called, the years you have lived, the beliefs, the experiences, the personality, those character traits. They become nothing more. They blow away like leaves in a breeze. They blow away. They are no longer. They have passed. And what are you left with? What are you left with when all of those layers of you have passed away? And as you lie here in the corpse pose, you stay lucid, you stay aware. You notice if a thought comes in or a feeling or one of those character traits, and you allow them again, a breeze to blow them out. They are no longer when you come into Shavasana. They become distant. And for 30 seconds also, you don't have to count it. I will do that for you. You just allow yourself to dwell in this space beyond everything you have known to be you. And now let your tongue tickle the roof of your mouth. Feel the tickling sensation of tongue tip on roof of mouth. Let your fingertips find your thumb tips. Feel the unique texture of your fingerprints, of your skin, of your flesh beneath. Take a big breath in and feel your belly rise with life force, because you are alive, you are living, you are still that thing that you just unwound. Take your arms overhead and stretch your arms up. Point your toes and inhale, allow yourself to be as long as you can be. And exhale, just soften that stretch. Again, inhale, arms overhead, point your toes, stretch from fingertips to toe tips. Feel your body engaging to be a tighter line as you breathe in. And then exhale, let it open wide and release. And one more time like that, as you breathe in a long inhale, stretch your body, let your muscles hug your bones, your back in your form, and exhale, you release a little bit again. And slowly bring your arms down, bring your knees into your chest, hug your knees into your body, hugging yourself in. You are still that which you know, but you can go to that other space that is beyond any time. And slowly rolling to one side, spending a few moments in a little fetal embrace on one side, letting your lower arm be a pillow for your head. And take time there until you are ready to come up and sit again. Sitting tall, lifting up through that center point of your sternum bone, the center point of the back of your skull, so your posture is strong and liberated. And just remembering Shavasana is always available for us, and it's an opportunity for us to let go of everything that we are just for a few moments and feel what we wish to bring back in and what we wish to maybe keep letting go of. Did you enjoy it, Paul?
Very, very much so. I think you can hear already my voice is much, much lower as as we relax. And I was just taken by, when we started out, I was interested that you said that in classical yoga that you practiced in India, they would take a posture and that they would stay in it and make these micro adjustments. And as we were in Shavasana, and to a certain extent in Tadasana as well, actually both, I found myself that that's exactly what I was doing, because it wasn't overly complex. There wasn't a choreography. There wasn't a lot of things to shift around. It was these very simple, we were standing up or we were laying down. And within that, to let go within that structure, for want of a better word, and then to continue to let go, it was just a series of micro movements that were just continual, really. So I really enjoyed it. It was quite a very, very deep practice. So thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. And just for our viewers and listeners, Caroline has really just taken us through a yoga practice. It's maybe not what you would have expected with a lot of forward bends and back bends and the usual shoulder stands and all of the usual things. But these two postures, believe me, are very, very demanding, very, very engaging, and extremely healthy. And I'm still, Caroline, still focused on that point in my chest behind. And I noticed that that was critical in terms of my practice of Tadasana. And also, in many ways, actually lying down, now that I come to think of it, I mean, it's staying with me, which is really good. So very positive for me. I can't thank you enough for being with us. And of course, this link will be available. So we'll make sure that plenty of people see it, because I think what you've shared with us is absolutely invaluable. But in closing, I would love for people to know how to connect with you. You are a yoga teacher. You do one-on-one sessions. You also have the Breath Project website. So just in closing, why not just talk a little bit about yourself and how people can get a hold of you?
Oh, thank you, Paul. Yes, so I have the breath method, although I also like the breath project. The breath method is my business that focuses on breathing. There is an app which you can download. There's free content on there. Members' subscription is $10 a month. You get a daily guided breathing practice, my voice, my content, new practice every day. And then there are also, and that practice will take you into the steps that optimize your breathing. Over 80% of us are breathing dysfunctionally day to day as our regular breathing habit. And that's a figure from a study that was pre-COVID, we can assume that we're all breathing dysfunctionally to different degrees. It's crucial for us to regulate our breathing because everything is affected by our breath. That's my passion project. That's what the Breath Method app will give you. There are also specialist practices because you can shape your breath in so many ways and they all give you a different outcome. There are different ways to shape your breath to induce a deep, long quality sleep. I give you those practices to give you energy, to de-stress you, to relax you, to focus your mind. So I encourage you to go and enjoy the Breath Method app. You can also contact me directly if you have any questions about what we've done today or about your breathing. You can contact me on Caroline at thebreathmethod.com. Yes, I do private sessions. I have my son arriving behind me. I'm busy with them, but always so thrilled to be connected with for a one-on-one private session. Zoom works so well with that. I hope you experienced that in the yoga club, 2 postures that I instructed with you in today. It's very, it's a really great format for practicing yoga and optimizing your breathing one-on-one with me. So by all means, and I hope I get to do lots of more conversations with Paul so that I can be with you all again, even if I'm not seeing you all.
Well, I'm so thrilled to hear that. So that's Caroline at thebreathmethod.com. And of course, I think Stella's probably put up my my email, which is Paul Kaye, Paulkaye at msia.org, and you can connect with me. And we're also starting a course on not this Monday, but the following Monday. I should really have had the date with me, but it's called The Vital Self, The Subtle Body. The Vital Self, The Subtle Body. So if that interests you, it's going to be on Monday evenings, 5 to 7 p.m. and it's all recorded. So you're welcome to start being part of that as well. And so I'm so glad you said that you invited me to bring you back again, because you've given so much of yourself and so many valuable tools for us. And I've been doing a lot of this stuff for many, many years. And as you can tell, it's a genuine, I always approach it with beginner's mind. I'm starting all over again. And today I've learned so much. I feel so much better in my body, and we can all use these reminders. And to me, it always comes to simple basics, coming back to the basics, coming back to the simple stuff and resting and relaxing in these simple poses. And so we'll post the link at some point. I mean, really, when Caroline started with Tadasana and then took us through Shavasana, you now have a personal yoga practice that is demanding and challenging and healthy, and anybody really can do at whatever age. So I'm so grateful for this time, Caroline, and I'm so glad to see your kids. I haven't seen your children ever, so it's wonderful, beautiful.
Well, now
say hello.
Say hello.
And they've got great names as well. Oh my goodness, the cuteness! I can't stand it. They can say their names out loud, right?
Your name?
My name is Siva.
Siva, and
my name is Rumi.
And Rumi. Siva and Rumi.
Oh my goodness, that's absolutely magnificent. Okay, well, what a perfect ending. Lovely to see you, Siva and Rumi and Caroline. Be well, and I would love to do this again, so thank you.
We will do it. Wonderful to be with you, Paul. Great to feel all of your energies. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your weekend.
Thank you so much. And huge thanks to Stella, our host, and to Chris and Jake, our technicians, and to Marcos Kahina in Madrid, Spain, who was translating into Spanish for us. So thank you so much, Marcos. And great to have him with us again. And so God bless you all. And thank you, Clara Jaramillo, for standing by and also being available as well. So God bless you all. Thank you so much. We'll see more of you online. You know how to connect with us. And bye-bye. Bye, Rumi. Bye, Siva. Bye, Caroline.
Bye.
Bye now.